Master the art of blind tasting. That's the name of our brand new series that kicks off today, where we will be blind tasting some of the wines and learning through how you identify these wines in terms of the where they come from, the grape varieties used, what they are, how they've been made, and perhaps even quality levels. So, are you ready to start off with the number one chapter of the blind tasting series? All right, guys, so today we're blind tasting Champagne versus Prosecco. So, I'm going to just randomly take a glass and I'm going to start tasting. All right, let me start with the right. So, on my right is, if I look at the color of this wine, it's kind of almost lemon green. It's really lovely, it's clear, it's bright, but it's got this lemon green tinge, which kind of makes me feel that either that's something peculiar about the grape variety and the style of wine that it produces, or it comes from a relatively cooler region where the grapes have been picked earlier. Okay, and of course, when I look at the bubbles, there are good fine bubbles there. There are, beads that are rising from the bottom of the glass to the top. There's a little rim of froth around this glass, which kind of makes me feel that these bubbles are maybe larger, slightly larger, or in size, or maybe sort of, more easy, in terms of this. This glass is more clearer. In terms of color, it's more golden. It's got a more golden hue to it. It's kind of richer in color. There are no green tints, which kind of makes me feel that perhaps these grapes are have been picked at the correct time of the harvest, and the bead of bubbles that are rising are really very, very fine, quite persistent. There is no frothiness at the edge of the glass, so that's quite interesting. And that's all of the observations that I've made so far in just by looking at the wines. I'm not drawing any inferences about what either or are. Okay, let's now come to the next step, which is looking at or sniffing the wine actually, and discerning the aromas. Yeah, it's quite it's a really fresh nose, but it's more of apple, pears, maybe a hint of honeysuckle, lots of floral, quite expressive on the nose. But I'm not getting very many complex notes. So let me just try the other wine. Now my mind's starting to draw some conclusions, but on the nose, yeah, this wine is definitely different. It's slightly smoky. It's got these bready notes coming through, and it's the yeast that is there. There's also a hint of minerality that I get on this wine, which obviously then leads me to think that perhaps this could potentially, I mean, they're both from the old world. One's from Italy, one's from France, but perhaps, a champagne always has this distinct minerality on the nose. That's always a bit of a giveaway. And in terms of fruit profile, I don't get as much of honeysuckle, but I get more sort of citrus lemon fruit. So lemon, a little bit of apple, but it's mostly citrusy kind of fruit that comes through on the nose. Shall we have a sip? My mind's already now thinking I want to try and shoehorn these, but I'm still not going to draw my conclusion until I have actually tasted the wines. Okay, so now I'm ready to taste the wine. I'm going to start with this one on the left. In terms of structure of the wine, there's a lot of acidity. It's really a nice, light-bodied, uplifting, refreshing, mouth-watering wine. And so there's a lot of acidity. Again, very signature to my mind of a champagne. And I get the autolytic characters of the bread, brioche, a little bit of that coming through on this wine. And it's got this lovely lemony sort of finish, which can be quite signature champagne. So now, unless this wine tells me otherwise, I'm going to try and put that as champagne. And now I'm going to take a sip of this wine. So on the palate, this particular wine just has a little bit of sweetness as compared to this one. This wine's completely dry. This is just got a hint of a sweeter edge. The acidity is far more balanced. It's slightly rounder. It's more integrated. It's smoother, which obviously tells me that in terms of climatic conditions or in terms of style of winemaking, this one is more easy drinking, or is made to be more easy drinking. In terms of flavors, I get more fruit forward expression coming out of this glass. There is more of apples and pears coming through, and it's actually the bread or autolysis or any kind of yeasty expression is virtually missing in this wine. So to me, this is a prosecco, and this is a champagne because it offers me that distinctive minerality, the really high acidity which is so signature of champagne, and it gives me this typical brioche-like, dough-like, bread-like notes that are expected to come out of a glass of champagne. Now, if you want to see what these wines were, let's take a quick look. Here you go. The champagne was the Moët Chandon, the world's most popular champagne, and in the prosecco we had the Luna Argenta, which showed like a typical prosecco easy drinking style. So there you go, guys. Those were the wines we blind tasted today, and hopefully you learned something. So if you did, give us a thumbs up, show us some love, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Sonal Holland Wine TV, and share with us what other wines you'd like me to blind taste and show you how to be able to discern differences in identity, grape varieties, quality levels, styles, aging. A number of things can be discerned through the blind tasting method. So we'll be back with some more, but until then, take care and see you soon.